Hi everyone. Welcome to Psychology and Spirituality, a bridge to a better life discussion. During our weekly podcast, we explore this intersection of spirituality and psychology, and as a result, we get to capture timeless wisdom contained in both fields. Yeah, I'm your host, Marcia Trajano, and super excited to be here again with Dr. Anahy Fonseca and Jussara Korngold. Jussara, Anahy, how are you guys doing?
Hello, everyone.
Great.
Welcome back. Welcome back to our podcast. It's great to be here again, and we're ready to start our conversations and discussion on topics that are so important for us when we talk about psychology and spirituality.
Absolutely, thank you. Anahy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. And I'm very excited to be here among friends, you guys, and everybody else that are listening to us today.
Awesome. Well, I have a question, right? And I have a question because it goes back to this terminology that Joanna DeAngelis actually references, which is the idea of spiritual evolution, right? Shasada, can you maybe bring us to anchor us into what does she mean with that, and why is it even important for us to talk about it?
Yeah, when we are thinking about the very theme of our podcast in terms of psychology and spirituality, I think we always have to look in both ways how uh, we've been taught by science in terms of understanding all the process of the human conscience, the evolution of human conscience. But at the same time, since we are talking about spirituality, we have to think about the evolution of the human spirit.
Yes.
And for us, it goes along, right? And so when Joanna De Angelis is expressing this, human evolution, she's actually talking about both things because one thing goes along with the other. So
Mhm.
the human body follows the spirit, right? And since we are talking about spiritual evolution and how we propose that through opportunities to experience it, like very much when we live in this lifetime, if you think you have one or more, it doesn't matter. Even if you think you just have one, I mean, there is always evolution. There is always a process of learning, of growing through experience. And if you think there are more like ourselves, that we think about reincarnation, of course, there will be just a bigger array of opportunities that is going to expand on our way. So I think, for starters, we could go from there just thinking that there is a purpose. And what is this purpose? Why this purpose is here? How can we fulfill this purpose in our own best interest?
I love it. Thank you. I think it really this anchors quite well our conversation today. But I'm punting back to Anahy. Anahy, can you maybe tell me more, or what are your thoughts from your perspective? Do you think Jung has anything there to say about this idea that Jussara was talking about?
Yeah, yeah, Jung and Joanna, like hand in hand,
Yeah.
And I was listening to Jussara, and it reminded me that Joanna, when she's talking about this great metaphor about a distant country,
Yeah.
and she's talking about us, and for instance, when she's talking about the self, capital S, right, our
Hmm.
higher self, our spirit, she calls the self a tireless traveler of evolution. I think this is so great to think of each one of us as a tireless traveler, right, of our evolution. And she says that even from, okay, we are going to think, well, I'm traveling from where to where, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
But that's the, that's the cool stuff for us to inquire ourselves, to have, this courage and this will to discover ourselves, as Joanna is always saying, to go through this process of self-analysis, to
Mm-hmm.
uh, ask ourselves, to this conversation with the inner voice, as Jung calls the self, examining our dreams, examining, our emotions and thoughts, but in a sense of always not missing the point of evolution, as we are talking here. And she says that even when we are traveling in this life, we are traveling in the terrestrial countries, she says, okay, in this incarnation, as Jussara was saying, that we have to go through this process of trying to identify, uh, all that it encompasses the psyche. What
Mm-hmm.
what is our our thought, what are our thoughts, emotions,
Mm-hmm.
our conflicts, our inner conflicts, our
Mm-hmm.
habits. We all have things that we do like in without thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? So but they come, if we are not thinking, if we are not recognized, they come from our unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
We have been talking here, for instance, Joanna calls us a lot to pay attention in our shadows, in the
Mm-hmm.
concept of Jung shadows, things that the ego tries to, I don't want to make to acknowledge the existence of this kind of stuff within myself, but it's there. So when you asked Marcia, I was thinking of what Jung told us in The Nature of the Psyche. It's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful book. It's in the collective works by Jung, The Nature of Psyche. And when he talks about the dynamics of the unconscious, right? And in Jung's words, he says that, and I'm quoting now, okay, each
Mm-hmm.
of us spontaneously avoids facing our problems as long as possible. And they should not be mentioned, for instance, our problems should not be mentioned, or better
Mm-hmm.
yet, their existence should be denied. We know that we denied a lot of the stuff that it's in the unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
We want our lives to be simple, safe, and peaceful, right? And that is why problems are taboo.
Yeah.
We want certainty and not doubt. We want results and not experiments, without, however, realizing that certainties can only arise through doubt and results through experiment. So I think this is a very nice way
Yeah.
for us to talk about, what Joanna is trying to tell us, and Jung has, as a great psychologist
Yeah.
and psychiatry, they are calling our attention to this. Well, let's
Yeah.
explore our country if we are
Yeah.
here, inner country, right?
Can I can
But
I can I bring
go
back
ahead.
to me, Anahy, because when you're describing, right, describing that state of mind, you're describing me, and I think you're describing to a lot of us, because we do feel lost, right? We do feel that we need to seek something, and seeking something usually equals seeking happiness. And happiness, according to the my cultural constructs, right, is really pleasure, or the things that is supposed to give me a sense of success. And this distant country, if I may use the metaphor that Joanna DeAngelis uses, right? This distant country out there is, to me, the country where I'm not afraid to get to this journey, right, Jussara, of self-discovery, this journey of growth. I think Jussara mentioned growth, right? But right now, the distant country that I go is one full, plentiful of distractions, right? Where this little device in my hand, this little thing here, this mobile device is terrible because it pushes me further and further away from the country, right, Anahy? The inside, the journey toward the that self-awareness, self-discovery. So I keep thinking, why is that, and what is the impact of uh, moving away from that inner core, which is spiritual evolution, human evolution? And I was wondering if either one of you want to talk more about it.
I was thinking, following in the quote that and I just presented by Jung,
Yeah.
I was thinking, um, how when we think about life, life pulsates, right?
Hmm.
You cannot stop it. From the moment that the conception starts, uh,
Yeah.
there is the multiplication of cells and the growing, and we cannot stop that. But there is one factor that is this uncertainty, this the fear that we have, the idea that we can remain in our comfortable zone, whatever your comfortable zone is. Sometimes your comfortable zone is just, filling your mind with so many things that you have no time at all to think about anything else and doing
Uh-huh.
one crazy stuff after the next.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe not literally not doing anything, just bury your head on the sand, like on the ground, like an ostrich, and
Yes.
thinking that nothing is happening around me and I'm secure because I'm not seeing anything, I'm not making any kind of movement.
Uh-huh.
I think from this perspective, it becomes clear from the psychiatric point of view, from Jung point of view, that we will never have that. I mean, you can try to avoid danger, but you can be in danger at your own home, and you can be out
Yes.
in the streets and nothing happens to you. So there is a process. There is the need for us to go through those experiences, but then there is something that is called as well common sense. And this is how do we develop that in a way that we are not going to be just, you know, um, imposed to lead a certain kind of way because of the whims of our ego, and
Hmm.
completely obliterate the advancement of the self in the sense that we are going to be choosing wrong experiences. So here is about I have to experience. I have to go. Is like sometimes I remember once people telling me about how it is to raise a child. Right? It's very much like building a ship. It comes to
Uh-huh.
a point that you have to let it go into the waters. So this is what happens to us. I will have to face the waters, and sometimes
Yeah.
the waters are going to be soft. Sometimes there will be torment. Sometimes, but all depends on how I equip myself and how can I equip myself in a way to
Mm-hmm.
make good choices and to not be that much affected by what it is around me, what is surrounding me.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. Great, great visual of the shipping going to the water, right? To let go, and have courage to let go. Anaí, any thoughts to that?
Yes, I was listening to you guys and what Jussara said. And I remember seeing a small movie
Mm,
that it won some award, but I really can't remember.
mm,
It's I don't know, maybe you guys can remember. It's about a baby bird and its mother, and their nest is by the ocean. I will only describe because it came to my mind now.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother is trying to help the baby bird to get out of the nest because they feed this kind of birds from things found by the seashore.
Yeah.
But the problem, okay, so then when the little bird goes there to
Yeah.
and the ocean was far away, he is kind of afraid. But and okay, the mother is come, like Jussara said, building a ship and all this, and he's okay learning how to eat this small shells and stuff from the seashore. But then a wave comes and just comes and kind of the baby bird is totally like almost drowning or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember this movie?
I do not, but
It's
I
so
love it.
so
Yeah.
cute. It's so
Yeah.
cute.
Uh,
But then when the wave goes away again, the baby bird is terrified and goes running towards the nest and doesn't want to come out anymore.
mhm.
But then it wants the mother to give it food. Okay, it doesn't want to go there anymore, and the mother says no, just no, you have to go there. And so it goes like this, and he finds a friend that it's another kind of animal. I can remember now, but
Mhm.
the little, and it's also a baby, but it's from the ocean. And so this little animal tells him how to be under the wave.
I see.
That's great, because then when the wave comes, he understood that he doesn't have to be afraid, because he has time. He doesn't have to breathe, and the wave is going to go back again, and then he can just wait for the wave. And then he gets really like, wow, that's so cool. And then he gets a lot of the food and give to the other big birds, and then he's so happy because now he can it can eat and all the stuff. Well, but it's just a simple example,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that if we are afraid of going in this metaphor that Joanna brings to us, if we are afraid of exploring these countries, and
Yeah.
she talks about provinces, different
Mm.
parts of the country. And at some point she talks about the heart, the human heart. She says the provinces of the human heart are many and are almost always dark, marked by the unknown, the unexperienced, which favor exclusive fantasies of pleasure and enjoyment. This is a free translation because it's in
Mhm.
Portuguese. But I remember the sentence,
Mhm.
and what you said, Marcia, about us looking always for pleasure and enjoyment. As Jung says, no, we cannot talk about conflicts.
Mhm.
So how are we supposed, with our mothers and fathers and
Yeah.
families and teachers and everybody else, to build our ships, as Jussara said, in this interaction with our families, friends, in society, without acknowledging that we all have problems. We all, like the little bird, learning how to feed itself, and learning with friends that are, it's more common to them, or they have already learned. So exchanging experiences without fear, and trusting in the process of evolution, that it's what we are talking. So we have to understand, I think Joanna is asking us to understand, that this darkness in our hearts is just that some parts of this province, that it's our heart, of
Mm.
this landscape, because Jung says that our hearts have a memory that it's more trustful to what is so health for this our souls than our minds in a sense. And we know that Joanna has written, for instance, a whole book about love, right? A
Yes.
whole book about gratitude. So she's always calling us to pay attention to what Jesus comes to and other beautiful masters. But of course, we are talking about the gospel and all that Jesus comes to teach us about love, because it's the force that creates us and the universe and the cosmos, because it comes from creation. So it's the light that can in this travel, right, that we are doing towards our spiritual evolution, it's the light that enlightens our paths, right, our the road that we have to travel. So I think that I was thinking why Joanna calls the human heart that it's almost always dark, because of our fears of getting to know ourselves and our conflicts, as Jung says, and talking about, and just as Marcia said, well, why do we have to be in the mobile or in the
Yes.
all the time, like if everybody else has such a beautiful life and so full of joy, and I'm here with all this conflict, so I don't want to think about my problems. And I will try to think that the world and that everything that I'm watching and trying to see in the social medias or in the mobile and
Mm-hmm.
outside of myself, it's also nice, so pleasurable, and that I have to go this path. This is the path. And what Jussara talked about psychiatry, as I keep telling you guys, what we see in psychiatry nowadays is that it's like a rocket, a flight, a very great, it's an increase in the levels of depression and anxiety. And it doesn't matter which part of the world, some are better than other in these rates, but the problem is that we have all this, this amount of people with depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
and addiction to different, chemicals. And so, why is that? I think we are, not seeing ourselves, as Joanna said, as tireless travelers of evolution. This is so, so cool, and you don't being afraid of enlightening, putting some light in our hearts,
Uh-huh.
and so that there isn't so much darkness, and not darkness because, wow, we are so bad. No, we are sons and daughters of creation, divinities inside of each one of us, right? But it's just because of the unknown. So when we get to know the unknown, then the unknown is not, it's knowable, right? And it's known to us. So just to make a small, it's not a small metaphor in this sense, right? And trying to connect with what is known and what is unknown.
Yeah.
So, because of this darkness that Joanna says, so when we enlighten ourselves in the sense of looking
Mm.
inside and not so much outside, then it's not unknown anymore. That's known, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what you guys think about that. And Jussara, how can we know ourselves? And if you think about the spiritist knowledge, what do you think about? I would love you and Marcia to talk a little bit about, this the reincarnation process, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
um, and about knowing ourselves.
I think one thing that comes to mind when we are
Uh-huh.
talking about this shadowed hard, and this heart, and it's dark in us. I see it more like a void.
Mhm.
It's emptiness, and it's a space, let's say a cosmic space, that
Mm.
needs to be filled with light. And in order for it to be filled with light, is where I'm going to be choosing my experiences. And when Joanna D'Angelo is the benefactor, she talks about the distant country.
Yeah.
We can see that as a distant homeland as well. I think it also refers to um, the choices we make, because there are many, like you said, there are diverse countries, there are diverse experiences that we can be living, and I'm the one that is going to be choosing what is
Yeah.
destined, very much like we choose for a destination here on earth. Where am I
Mhm.
going to? What attracted me to?
Mhm.
And sometimes we just uh, we just do the bad choices, and or the good ones. But even when we do the good ones or the bad ones, we are always learning.
Yes,
There is
absolutely. Yeah.
also learning, right, Marcia?
Yeah. Now, and the things that came to my mind immediately as we're talking now is it's a choice. So as in this journey of our own evolution, and this journey includes going to this distant country or not. But there is another component here, right, Jussara and Anahy, which is in addition to the free will to choose, there's also the idea of willpower, perhaps, the idea that I not only can make a choice, but I can really mature spiritually and psychologically so that I can um, overcome back to those distractions, like overcome those distractions and really focus on where do I want to be? What, like the homeland, where do I want to go? Is it back home, or is it away so that I don't no longer have to pay attention to the things that maybe they hurt me, or right, that there is a sense of things that is so hard for me to take a look, that I repress my shadow or I avoid, and create that void as you spoke. So those are the things that pop into my mind, the role of our free will and the goal and the role of my willpower as I go through this journey. That the good thing about here is it's inevitable. We will all grow. We will all evolve. It's just a question of how we'll evolve. I think, Jussara, the other day you're talking about the idea of action and stagnation, and I'd love if you could maybe talk about this decisions, right? And where we are, what are we when we decide for action or inaction, or action, change and evolve, and inertia, right? I'm here. It's all good. I don't need to go through that place that requires courage, and even for those pioneers at heart. But no, no, I'm good. Let me stay where I am at and put blinders and distractions, and I will not move an inch. What are your thoughts, Josada?
The example that Anahy gave, it was so wonderful.
Yeah,
The
the bird.
David Bird. I'm
Yes.
thinking that he got street smart, but he got beach smart, right? And very much like ourselves, he said, "Well,
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to put myself into this trouble anymore. I have a mommy,
Yeah, yeah.
and please, creator, mommy, whoever, come to me and do the work for me, because I'm not going to expose myself into danger again." But you see the excitement.
Yeah.
While she was talking, I mean, I always have this very creative mind. I started depicting the bird and everything that was happening. And I was thinking the excitement of, wow, being drowned for the first time and being completely afraid. And then all of a sudden making a friend and learning how to deal with it and succeeding in doing it, which is very much the phases that we go into through life.
Yeah.
Although we don't like the experience and we feel drowned so many times, when you learn how to deal with situations and you learn how to choose well, how to time well, because in this case as well, I'm going to time the waves, right? They
Mhm.
will come, but they will go. I can go under, not be swiped away by the strength of the wave hitting me directly. So that's, what we are doing also through our reincarnations. We getting
Mhm.
reincarnations, smart, be learning how to position ourselves better. Actually, I thought about a very silly example, but I'm going to use it again. Once we get used to the good stuff, we don't want the bad stuff. If you
Mhm.
drink whole milk, you don't want fat-free milk.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Yeah.
There's no option. You can be a vegan, not even drink milk. But I mean, you have to admit that if you want to taste something, you have to taste the whole. And once you taste the whole, the rest is not the same. And I think it's very much like when you go through those experiences in life, and you experience the good things, the good emotions, like the response for an altruistic action.
Yeah.
And like you said, actions we are always going to get responses from actions. From inaction, we are wasting a precious time, a precious experience to live, and it will not put us out there. I was thinking about a phrase that I love by Roosevelt, that he says, it is sad to fail in life, but it's even sadder not to try it.
Uh,
See, so
yeah.
this is about completely the opposite what we are saying. If you remain inactive, because I don't want to compromise myself. I don't want to get risks. I don't want to get into the comfortable zone. And you're not going to learn, and you're not going to get the good part as well. You're not going to be living the experiences, even when you learn that you have to do it in a different way, because that way
Mhm.
is not the best choice.
Yes. Yeah, love it. Anahy, what are your thoughts? Come on in. Action, inaction. What or failure in success or failure, but what is best? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was thinking that because putting together everything that you are talking about, at some point, Joanna tells us that bodily existence is always a distraction mechanism from the deep consciousness of the self.
Mhm.
And then I was reflecting upon that because she's saying bodily existence, right?
Yeah,
Because we
yeah.
have our senses, our five, or some people say more senses than five, but our senses that connect us with our body, connect us through our senses and our ego, the ego consciousness, with the outer world and inner world, in a sense, right? If I'm feeling pain and I have to take action and go to the doctor, things like
Mhm.
that. But our ego consciousness, right? And that is, the ego, just for us to make a point here and think together, developed, according to Jung and Joanna, from birth. What we have that we bring with us to
Mhm.
this life is the self that Joanna says, that is our spirit, in a sense, our higher consciousness. But what we developed here, that is very particular to this life, is the
Mhm.
self, the ego, the
Mhm.
center of our consciousness and our personality here, right? We can think like this. So the ego is going to be dealing with the body and the
Mm,
senses, right?
mhm.
So I was thinking that when Joanna says that bodily existence, this
Yeah,
existence in the body, in the
yeah,
flesh, right,
yeah.
is always a distraction. And of course, she's talking here in a psychological and also in kind of a spiritual way, right, Jussara? Because she's saying that bodily existence is always a distraction mechanism from the deep consciousness of the self, of our spirit. So, in the same way that we need the ego, I was thinking, to have this experience because we have to adapt to this world and we have to learn, as Josada is saying, and you also, Marcia, with learn with our experiences
Uh-huh.
here, so that our tireless traveler,
Yeah.
ourself, can evolve, can learn from this experience here at this point, at this moment, and take with us what we learn, right? But at the same time, I think Joanna is saying, pay attention, because it is also, it's a paradox, because we will have a distraction from the deep consciousness of the self, because the self with capital S, Jung self, and Joanna saying that is our spirit, so our higher consciousness knows what we are supposed to be learning, as Jussara said here, has chosen in spiritual realms the experiences that, it wanted to undergo and wanted to experience here. So we cannot lose, I was thinking, this, we cannot be distracted, so distracted by this bodily experience. We have to live it and
Mhm.
have fun, but not in the sense of all joy. I have to go to all the parties and have and buy everything that I want. No, this is silly. This is kind of a childish thing, spiritually speaking, and also psychologically. Only when you are young and a teenager, of course, but when you grow, right, and go to different experiences, getting old, that I think it's so nice and so cool to get old, because then we are doing all this, our egos, if we are evolving,
Mhm.
starts talking more with our self, right, ourselves, and then of course we can go towards in the what Jung calls the individuation process,
Mhm.
a more balanced, psychologically speaking, psyche, right, and a more integrated psyche, so that the spirit, the soul, the psyche can, can be in more mature, in a more mature, more balanced way, and achieving what Jussara said, the spiritual plan for this life, putting everything together. So I
Can
think,
Yeah, go
the
ahead and finish. I want to have a
distraction.
question. Yeah, I want to have.
I was
Mm,
kind of worried about
yeah,
this one, which one I said, the distraction. Let's not be distracted. And when you said, oh, all these things calling us from outside world, I was kind of worried. People, let's not be distracted. But
yeah.
just go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, in the counter to it, right? So it is very interesting. The more we read, and we have several references, right? Joanna D'Angelo's references and Jung's references, etc. But or Theodore Roosevelt's right reference as well. And it's the idea of courage, this idea of pursuing something, right? And not be distracted, Anahy. But to me, the counter to it, and I would love to hear from both of you, is okay, I want to have courage. I want to have, to go for it, go into this journey, whatever that may lead me. But what if I do everything in my power, including I don't have a cell phone anymore. I'm not gonna be distracted, I'm not gonna be distracted, I'm not going to be distracted. And yet I feel empty. I think, Jussara, you talked about this void. How do you handle it? And I'm talking about all of us here in this audience today,
Okay.
thinking the same thing. What happens? Tell me more,
I-
please.
For starters, it's not about giving up things.
Okay.
It's everything is about discipline.
Okay.
So, I mean, we are not required, and because that would be, very much the idea that people in, up to today, they think if I just withdraw from the world, I'm not going to be
Mhm.
contaminated and everything is going to be okay.
Good point.
Cannot
Hmm.
live away from you and from your ego and from, the need of development, the cry for, enlightenment that yourself is actually, asking for, or
Hmm.
the need to fill the void with actions, with experiences. So don't give up your cell phones. It's not about it. It's not because I mean, if you just do that, you find something else that is
Yeah.
going to replace it, and it's not the point. The point is, I live in the material world. I have to live the experiences that I have here, and I have to have time to do everything, and I have to understand why am I here. And this is the question. This is what we've been saying
Hmm.
at the beginning of this podcast, in terms of, from the scientific, psychiatric, in psychological aspect, is the development of consciousness is moving away from just the shadow, the persona, the growing, and going into direction of more enlightenment. And from the spiritual perspective, the same thing. And
Hmm.
I acquire that while living in the world. So we have to make room, and use and make good choices. And
Hmm.
choices, many times, they are related to that. They are related to balance. There are times that I will be using my head, my energy,
Hmm.
focus on certain kind of work or expertise.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'm just going to use this time to rest, because my body is requiring a rest. So I think that this, when you think about, feeling the void, is very much about this, about making the good choices, about
Hmm.
um, um, understanding our purpose here, understanding that if we fail, it's okay. We will have new opportunities, and it's part of life. It's part of
Hmm.
life to be drowned a little bit by the water, but then I'll learn how to avoid that.
Yes.
Things that I could not anticipate before, that could represent a danger to me, no longer is going to become a danger. It's going to become excitement. Oh my God, I was smart again. I faced the wave. I'm and I'm doing what I have to do in order to grow. And this is about, the topic that we are talking today,
Yeah.
about this spiritual evolution, and not being afraid of putting yourself out there, of course, with responsibility, with discipline, having, thinking about every action. There will be, for every action there will be a reaction.
Yes.
And we know a lot of things already. There are unknown things that will come to our ways. There are uncertainties, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's part of the process. It's part of the growing, and this is the beauty of it. It's because um the formula, we very much free to choose which one we want to go through. It's just a matter of living the experience, and understand that this is the reason why we are here.
Yeah, yeah. So we started our conversation today, and I'm just wrapping up here. Apologies, everyone. Anahy had technical difficulties, and she's no longer with us, right? Jussara. But we started with this idea of human evolution, spiritual evolution, and and it's all about the the journey that we take on, the journey that we embark. and the difficulty that comes from our choices.
Mhm.
We may go into a self indulgent life, or we can go to another one that is a more enlightened path. We may suffer, we may have many pleasurable, joyful moments. It doesn't matter. We will lead, all of those experiences will lead to some sort of spiritual growth in self awareness. And I wanted to just go back to what you said, Jussara, earlier. In Roosevelt's, right? Theodore Roosevelt, in his very famous speech, it's The Man in the Arena, 1910, so a while ago, he talks about a number of things, but he really emphasized that the value is really in taking action, right, Josiah? When in the dichotomy of action or inaction, even if it means that you may fail.
Mhm.
So, in so many words, those of us who attempt and those of us who attempt and fail, we are far more valuable, according to Roosevelt, than those that don't try at all. And because those who try, and those who try and fail, we are the ones who are learning. And when we're learning, we're growing. And when we're experiencing the real essence of life, we're growing spiritually as well as in this idea of our um, egoic constructs and in our persona in this world, right? But it's really important. Let us not be timid souls, as he puts it. Let us try, even if we are scared. Or Jussara and I were just talking about it, right? The idea of how scared we are sometimes, and here we are. We can be quite scared, but it's good. It's good to try. And I want just to wrap it up here because when we reference that idea of distant country, symbolic place, let's see ourselves. What is my distant country, right? How am I driven? Am I driven solely by, yes, Jusada, I'm driven by my mobile phone or whatever mobile devices out there or not? But what is it that's driving me? What is it that is pushing me to reach my real, my true potential, right? And with all of that, let us just be aware and reflect upon all those words that these two amazing women have mentioned to us, because those are really interesting. And with that, I just say thank you all for being here.
Marcia,
Yes, go ahead.
can I
Yes,
just say
yes,
something?
yes,
I just wanted to saying goodbye and
yes.
telling people that there was a powerful synchronicity
Mhm.
now, because I don't know if you realize, of course, I think people that are watching us have realized that my internet gave some kind of problem and I was out for some minutes, couple of
Yes.
minutes.
Hmm.
And I was just thinking and joking, okay, I went to a distant country
There you go.
because I'm out of. So this is a powerful synchronicity
Yes.
because we are talking about this the whole of our conversation today. It's about our consciousness understanding this life, this moment, in a broader sense, right?
Mhm.
And being here and out, and exactly when you guys were talking about technology, then the internet just poof went blank, and I was out of the studio. So this is what I say, understanding life, and what Joanna, I think, and Jung always keep calling our attention to
Yeah.
understand life in a broader sense. To see these synchronicities, the things that are happening inside of us, at the same time as they sometimes powerful coincidence that they are happening outside of us at the same time. So I just wanted to say that I don't know if it was a joke by Joanna or whoever, or the energies, but I think it's a very nice example of everything that we have been talking. Not leaving technology, using technology in this
Absolutely.
beautiful
Yeah.
journey that our souls are undergoing. But
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you that whatever it is that brought you back for your wise words. And I just want to say for everyone, we are at time. And I really appreciate, folks, the opportunity to be able to reflect, right? We are indeed so distracted. Those moments that we get together and we're able to just reflect on our own journey, what is the direction? Is it really leading me to my spiritual awakening? And I hope that this conversation today has helped you as much as it has helped me uncover those triggers, those lessons that will teach us how should I return to my homeland, right? How can I become a wiser one, a renewed one? But, anyways, if this is the first time you are listening to our program, please note this is just one of many. Our psychology and spirituality weekly talks are here, and they're based on the works by Joanna de Angelis. And we sincerely hope you're able to perhaps, who knows, expand some of your own spirituality concepts and see how they just juxtapose from that psychological lens. And before we go, I just want to say thank you, sponsors. Mansão do Caminho, the United States Spiritist Federation, the International Spiritist Council, and AMI Brazil, the Brazilian arm of the Medical Spiritist Association. I hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
bye bye.